This training is on behavioral issues, but it is not meant to be a be-all, end-all about all the different ways that you can deal with behavior. What it's going to be is really focused on people with cognition, with TBI, with issues, and we're taking a look at how the issues related to the TBI might be contributing to the behavior. So there's lots of other sources of other information, of other ways that you might intervene. But specifically, there are some things that we'd like people to know who work with people with traumatic brain injury. And the first thing, number one, is look at the communication demands of the situation and the cognitive demands of the situation, because that could very well be the thing that is overwhelming the person, that's creating the issue. And if we can solve the communication and the cognitive issue, we can often get rid of the behavior. So we don't really have to deal too much with anything else. We just solve that and we can move on. What we might need to do with someone with a traumatic brain injury is practice alternative behaviors and responses. It might, because of new learning and memory issues, it might be take a little extra time for them to learn the behavior. So we want to practice them and give them opportunities, and probably not in the situation, but outside of the situation. And then quickly intervene. We may need to do it right in the moment so that they can help to process what happened, because if we wait too long, they may not recall all that was going on for them. However, on the flip side, right in the moment, they may be too emotional and they really can't stop to be able to process it right then. So we have to weigh that out, but sooner is better rather than later. And we also want to quickly intervene with trying to stop the behavior, because we don't want this to become a behavior that becomes entrenched, that keeps on going, that gets reinforced. What we want to do is to change that behavior to something that's more appropriate, so that they don't lose friends and they don't get labeled as that difficult person. And we certainly don't want to punish. We want to try to reward for the good behavior. A way that you might take a look at some of the cognitive and communication demands is using a tool of ours called the Brainstorming Solutions tool. And this helps to look at all the different cognitive demands to figure out what might be the issue, and some specific ones that you might look for. What's their impulse control like? Again, all of the cognitive issues like attention and memory, that's all important too, because that might be the issue. Language is on here. Problem solving, motor ability, so that maybe that's the issue that they are frustrated over, what they're unable to do in that situation. Considering the emotional state, are they too upset now to really be able to do anything, especially engage in this activity right now? What's the environment like? Is it too overwhelming for them right now? And then specifically, we look at behavior. So what helps them to have appropriate behavior? You already might know a lot about this. And if sometimes it's, well, they're better with this provider than that provider, then you might look at what is the one person doing differently than the other. Could be time of day, could be something that has nothing to do with the actual people involved, but it could. And so is someone speaking more slowly, or is someone actually doing more cueing as they're going? What are they doing? And then you may also know a lot about the triggers, what sets off the behavior. So looking at all those things, there's some suggestions there. I'd encourage you to take a closer look at this, and what helps them to get calm once they are triggered, what helps them. And that this is all important to know. It's all important to share with other people that work with them. And then it's always important, I think, to consider what is the person's behavior attempting to communicate. What do you think that it's attempting to communicate? And you can ask the person, this is what you were doing. What were you trying to tell me? And because I believe that behavior is always a way to communicate. It's always communicating something. And then how do you think you can help them to communicate in a different way? Other things on there to consider, but and Jen made another training specifically on this tool, and you'll pick up some other things from that. And it goes into internal and external strategies that you might use with the person, and how you might change the environment. But then it's always important to get the other person's point of view. What do they think is causing this, and what do they think might be a better way to respond? So it's always best if it can be their suggestion that, well, maybe it would have been better if I said this, or if I did this, or if I took myself out of the situation for a moment. It's always best to get that going. And then in preparation for the next time you go into that situation, it's helpful to say, last time that we were in this situation, it was difficult for you, and this happened, whatever it was that they did. I'm wondering if we might think about that happening again, and what might be a better way to do it. Or remember that you said that you thought it would be a really great idea to try X. So you're kind of prepping them and setting them up for success, which is really what we want to do here. And again, be sure to watch the other video that'll go through different aspects of the brainstorming solutions tool and help you pick up some more things there to help with people's behavior.